Hot damn, y'all, the struggle is real. If you're new here, welcome to my channel. My name is Beth. I haven't been here for a minute, so let's just have a little bit of a chat. I'm not really going to do any kind of plan with me things. I've got my planner. I've got this crazy planner off to my left that I've kind of just been throwing stuff in. Let's just talk about where I've been. So most of y'all know I was planning on moving. I did move. It was not easy. So I moved in the middle of a monsoon, basically. I had called the moving company several days before once I saw the forecast, and I was like, yo, this is going to take a really long time. It's going to monsoon. They were like, we don't want to reschedule. Everything will be fine. I ended up having to pay a whole lot more than I was quoted. Part of that was because of how much shit I own. Part of that was because of the rain, and they have not wanted to settle on the fact that they chose to move in the rain. I didn't choose to move in the rain, and that a lot of those delays, because you pay per hour, was because of the weather. So that's been fun. The house is great. It's a cute little 3-bedroom house, butted right up against a national park. So I did move from Little Rock, Arkansas to the resort town of Hot Springs, Arkansas, which was the first national park in our country. So that is where I am at now. Like the house, have some hurdles there too. So my landlord is a friend and a former client. I knew she had a very large event coming up and that the house would not be completely empty when I moved in. And then right before I moved, she called and said, well, I figured if I was going to move it all once, I just would have to just move it all anyway. So she was going to take all the furniture and items she had in the house and put them in one room, as opposed to moving them out, and she decided to move them out, which changed how I packed, because then I went from, oh, I'm gonna have to store a bunch of stuff in the guest bedroom until I can get into the office space. Yeah, I could just move in. And then right before I moved in, she was like, oh, well, there's still a few items in the third room, which is where I am now, which is the office. And a few items was half a room full of shit. So and she has this huge event that she needed to get past. It is now past. She has come to the house and gotten some things, but yesterday was sort of the last straw for me, because all of my filming equipment and everything has been in that second bedroom waiting to move into what would be my office space. And so I took it upon myself yesterday to move everything I could that belongs to her from this room to the garage. I'm a single human, so it was a lot. And then there are still some really ugly white IKEA storage cabinets that I don't want in here. If she wants to leave them on site, I'm cool with her leaving them in the garage, but I don't want them in here. This is where I'm going to put up my bookshelves and create my whole vibe, and this is my safe space. I love my office space. That's why I want a 3-bedroom. And so I'll put up some footage of kind of what we're looking at. It's a white box. This room was an addition to the house, so it's kind of weird. It's got some weird tile. We're going to put down a rug. It'll be fine. And, some additional footage of, where it is in one place and then where it is now as we're filming, because I've literally just put a portion of my desk in the middle of the room, connected everything, and here we are. I wish it was not that simple. So I got everything hooked up. I film using my phone, but then I use a software called OBS. And OBS wasn't working. It would start to work and then it would freeze. And I would try to film and it would freeze. And I would try to film and it would freeze. And sometimes it would freeze at the 2-minute mark. And sometimes it would freeze at the 7-minute mark. I mean, I have tried to film this video multitude of times. So I finally went back and checked, and OBS had an update in March, just a week or two ago, and I was like, okay, well, let's go download the new version. I think it's sticking. I think what minute mark are we at now? I'm at about the 7-minute mark, and I think that's the farthest I've made it so far. It also might be a little bit echoey in here because, again, there's nothing in this room but boxes and desk pieces and the ugly white storage unit waiting for things to get put together. I really want to put my office together. I really want to get my books out, but I also need to get some new bookshelves and stuff. I got rid of some bookshelves. I need to replace some bookshelves. They had lived out their life cycle with me, and it was ready in time for them to go. So that's sort of the saga of the move. There's a whole other thing with a washer and dryer, and her washer and dryer were not out. she had somebody come over and disconnect them and then just leave them in the way. I mean, if they'd not been disconnected, I could have at least used them. And she finally got them out. And of course, at that point, I didn't have any of my help, and my washer and dryer were in the garage. So yesterday, I finagled my washer into place so I could at least wash clothes. I had to go buy some like clothesline stuff from the Family Dollar and hang it across the backyard because my dryer needs a plug change before it will work. She had a gas-powered dryer in here. I have a dryer with a 220. There's not a 220 plug. Y'all, just... I mean, we were about at the point where Beth was going to be naked because I had gone through every article of clothing I own. It's good. It's fine. So there's the update on the move. Here's the update on the job. The job is still going great. It could be going better, but it is going great. So I came on, and in early February, I guess, one of the individuals in our office took a role somewhere else within our organization. There's 3 of us in my office. There's too much work for 3 people to do. I'm just hands down. There's just no way 3 people can do the amount of work that is incoming. I am still an event manager for an event venue, and everyone in the state wants to come to our event venue, which is great. We don't really have to go solicit business, but we can't even keep up with the phone calls and the requests that are coming in of everyone who wants to come be at our event venue. So going into the month of April, we have 4 days in the entire month where we do not have an event in our event center. There's a lot coming down the pike. Right now, I am the event manager for every single one of those events because there's no one else to do it. My boss is a sales director, and then the other person in our office has been promoted and is going to be trained to do what I do. In fact, I'm going to train that person to do what I do, but we have to hire that person's replacement for their role before they can move in to do what I do, and that has been a little bit of a challenge. So I've literally, I've not touched my planner since February because I've just been flying by the seat of my pants, and we all have, and it's been stressful because there's no way to manage the stress. Still trying to find how to handle the intake, what comes next. So a client will reach out, we'll do a proposal. We have time to do a proposal. Then if they say yes to the proposal, then we have to issue a contract. Theoretically, my boss would be doing all of that, but there's too much of it coming in. And so I've had to step in and do some of that selling as well, which is technically in my job title. So it's part of what I need to do. But then once everything is booked, it's all on my plate. Reaching out to the clients, finding out what they want to eat for every single one of their meals, what time doors open for their meetings, what time do they have breaks, what do they want for their breaks, who's their entertainment, what are their vendors, are they bringing in a florist, are they bringing in a DJ, just depending on the type of event, all of that stuff I have to detail. And I'm still trying to find the best way to do that. And that is where this really messy journal comes in. So this is a Leuchtturm. And I mean, it honestly, guys, it is. If you just look, it's just a hodgepodge of shit. As I've been trying to figure out the best way to handle the pace of events that we have. And part of that is because, again, I've been doing this for 20 plus years. And the reason that they called me and asked me to come down to this venue is my experience. But a lot of my experience was in very large events, conventions, galas. I can do a small meeting, no, never mind. But when you have 5 or 6 smaller meetings stacked together across your event center over the course of a week, it takes a whole lot more energy to manage those than it does, say, a convention where everybody comes in on Monday night and they have meetings and breakouts and stuff Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then Friday they're gone when they take up your whole space. Or a gala that has a move-in day on a Friday with a production company and their florist comes to put flowers on the table, and then Saturday, you're doing run-throughs and practice, and then Saturday night, you have a full-blown dinner with all the program and the entertainment, whatnot. Guys, it totally crashed again. So I don't know how long I'm going to make it until this crashes yet again, but we're going to try. We're going to see if it works. But what I was saying is that those smaller events stacked on top of one another take a whole lot more effort and work than the larger ones do, if that makes sense. So that's where we're at. I'm a little bit overworked. There's a light at the end of the tunnel, but there's been a lot of just being at work. And then when I'm not at work, I'm in perpetual movement trying to get unpacked. So my house is still a hot mess. It's still a hot mess. One of the other things I discovered about this house is that the main part of the house, not this addition where the office is, but the main part of the house, the walls are not made from drywall. They're concrete board. And so you have to buy special screws and things to hang things in concrete board. So that's been fun too. It's put a damper on me being able to properly decorate and all of that, because I am very much a put things on the walls and patch when I move out type of person. So we have the update on the move. We have the update on the job. And I have another Leuchtturm like this one. It's black. It's in a box. Guys, I don't know where it is. I actually have a canvas bag from the Central Arkansas Library System up in Little Rock that I had put this one's been living in my purse, as has this other green one, but like my Shakespeare journal, my reading journal, those things that I thought I would need with me lived in this canvas bag. And I have that canvas bag, but obviously I forgot to put this other black Leuchtturm in it. And if we do a setup video for March, that's probably the one we're going to set up, because I've done enough trial and error in here that I think I know what I need. And now we're going to go back to a partially splitting work and personal life, pulling more of personal life back into here. I haven't decided, because this already has a calendar structure. If you're new here, this is a Sterling Ink Common Planner. Because it already has the calendar structure here at the front, which, I mean, you can see, I've been too busy to even think about. Normally I memory keep in here. So I'm trying to decide if, because my work life is so melded into my personal life right now, whether I'm going to start using this as a calendar to see where all my events are and how they overlap, as well as putting them on my weekly here so that I can plan ahead in both personal life and work life. But then in here, or in the newer version of this that I'm going to set up, is where I would take notes with my clients, write down things that are coming up that I need to remember, have intake pages for days where intake is just super heavy. I mean, the phone constantly rings. I anticipate that I take enough notes if I use a journal like this and set it up for the next quarter, April, May, and June. I anticipate I'll go through a whole one in a quarter, which doesn't leave me, if I tried to do it in here, I would eventually end up having to add a notebook to this, which Sterling Ink has notebooks that match this, but I would definitively end up having to add pages to this in the form of another notebook. Or I would need to get a notebook to serve the purpose of this for every quarter. I don't know the answer to that yet. So that is where I'm at in my planning. I just haven't been. It's just honestly the answer to that. I just haven't been. I haven't designed. I know I didn't launch a March kit. I didn't design one. I did not have time. Will I do an April one? I don't know. Will I completely forego my theme of Samhain Psalms for 2025? I might. And if I do, that's okay. I just need to figure out what else I can do for my patrons and how that's going to look moving forward as well. Now, I know I forgot to put up our reading content for March. I'm going to do a first quarter reading wrap up. But if you want to read along, for the March read along, which I haven't read yet. Science fiction short story is The Cartographer's Wasps and the Anarchist Bees by E. Lily Yu. I will link it down below. I'll also put up a community post that has that link in it. And our Shakespeare read for March is Antony and Cleopatra, which I have not yet read. I'll have to pop it into an audiobook and get that done before the end of the month. But give me a little bit more time to get my stuff together. At least I have some sort of filming setup put up, even though it is just a desk in the middle of a room, middle of a white room, like a white box, like an insane asylum, honestly, which is pretty apt. It's just been a struggle, guys. It's been a struggle trying to get in the house, have the rooms open that I needed to have open, get the move done. Again, I moved in the middle of a monsoon. It was terrible. It was the worst rain. I guess it could have been worse. It could have been ice and snow, but it just was a terrible, terrible day to move. The last time I had movers was when I moved to Little Rock. Every other time I've kind of just moved a short distance and moved myself. But last time when I moved to Little Rock, it was July and it was like 106. So I can't possibly pick good days to move. I'm just really not nice to my movers. I have to give them big tips. And nothing against the guys that moved me. They did a great job with the weather that they were handed. But it just, the company as a whole just made it a little bit difficult with trying to deal with the weather. The cats have mostly adjusted to the move. Moving with Faramir is an awful experience. My kids did it last time. They had him in their car, and this time I had him in my car coming from Little Rock to Hot Springs. It takes about 50 minutes, and he screamed the whole way. It was so nerve-wracking. Kenny, my oldest, had Awen in the car with him, and she just curled up and went to sleep in her carrier. But no. Faramir had to be very, very difficult. They're finally starting to settle in. Neither one of my cats likes clutter. They get a little anxious when things are cluttered, and of course, because I'm moving, things are cluttered. I haven't had time to think about a content calendar. This is the first weekend off that I have had, both days off, since February, just because most of the time I'm in the office trying to get caught up on things because we're short-staffed. And I've had a little bit more time to get a whole lot more done, emptying part of this room and getting this desk set up. I have so many more boxes to unpack. I think you saw them in the quick video clip I showed. Most of those were book boxes. And again, I do need to have the bookshelves to put on them. Y'all, it froze up again, and I'm just going to take that as my cue to stop recording for the day, work on a few other things, try to get some more things unpacked, and I'll be back sometime later this week with something. I don't quite know what it's going to be yet. Thank y'all for sticking around during this crazy part of my life. Hopefully it's getting all settled down, and I will see you in the next one.